Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Kick a Ball podcast. Got a different scenery today, on the move a little bit, but that doesn't stop the grind. Here with Oliver Pratt, wingback of the University of Pennsylvania Quakers and Manhattan Soccer Club in USL2. How you doing today, my man?
Great. Thank you for having me.
Of course. I mean, we were talking a little bit before, and I'm glad to, have a little bit of conversation just to get to know each other a little bit. And I was telling Oliver about how he really first struck me when he plays for Penn. There being the Ivy League rivalry between Penn and Cornell, though, Penn has gotten the best of the Big Red lately. And then also, him being able to play for Manhattan Soccer Club over the last summer. And I've done broadcast work for the Flames in Morristown, FC Motown, and Oliver's been my man of the match really for both those two games. He's someone that's just been a talent, like wins the aerial duels, puts 100% on the dribble, and it's just a guy that I'm like, you know what, we should get something going. We just have this talk. So enough from me going on. But Oliver, how's just the season going this summer? How's everything?
It's been great. I got to New York like beginning of May, which has been great. Just kind of getting used to the new city. Haven't lived here before, so getting used to that, getting used to like a new different group of guys. But I mean, it's been great. I'm really excited about it.
Dope. So what's the sick if it's not too much for me to ask, like what's the situation for you guys? I know, Manhattan's a huge city and it's expensive as well, but
Yeah.
it sounds like they're definitely taking care of you. What's the quarters like for you?
So, what actually brought me to New York is I'm actually working here over the summer.
Very
Uh,
nice.
so I got an internship here in the city, so in finance. So that kind of brought me to the city. But what also was very attractive was that I could still be able to play for a high level USL2 team while working. Um, what's great about Manhattan is that they're very flexible with guys working in the city. So like we train later at night, which makes it a little easier to get there from work. So that kind of brought me here. And I mean, it's been great. Like the last 2 summers, I played at Miami Athletic Club, the USL2 team in Miami. And every summer, being able to play with a completely new, different group of guys, college guys that are playing all over the place, being exposed to that has been great. And Manhattan's been just that.
Perfect. That's fantastic to hear because I mean, with there being so many USL2 teams, and it sounded like you were set on having this opportunity in Manhattan in finance, and it's huge for just your own personal career. But I mean, I hear guys sometimes where they're trying to work their way, what city that they end up going in, and being able to find a good USL2 environment. But it sounds like you've got a group of guys, both on the staff and on this team, that really are there to support each other, for your own, both off the field and on the field needs.
Yeah, 100%. Because the introduction was a little easier for me. There was a guy a year above me, Bendo, who he's going to Indiana for 5th year. He worked here last summer and he kind of talked to me about Manhattan and that whole situation, and I felt a little more comfortable with doing it once it like came to my time.
Dope, bro. I'm glad that ended up working out though too, and the season's been going as well. The season's been going well too. I mean, I know the latest result was a win against the Westchester Flames, and that's my USL2 team, and I got to call the game, and well played by you boys, and just how I mean, you guys were able. It never really looked like you guys were putting the foot off the brake or the foot off the gas, I should say.
Yeah.
If you could tell me a little bit about the match. I mean, how you played, how the team gelled together, like it just really looked like a finished product between you boys.
Yeah, honestly, to be honest, it's nowhere near a finished product, and I mean that in a good
Really?
way. Like we didn't start great. I think it was we were kind of thrown into a season where we didn't have like a great sense of each other, like in a team environment. Even though we have a lot of individual talent, I think it's taken a couple games to kind of get back to where we want to be. I think that Westchester Flames game was like the first game where we got a better sense of like, okay, this is where our team is, and like the successes that we know we can have. So yeah, I mean, it was a good game. Like we were tested. Like West Flames has a lot of really good players, but I think it started to really click for us. It was definitely back and forth. I think there were some moments that we would want back, but overall, to be able to see goals go back in the back of the net and win, like, it's just great it's just very positive for the team, and we're all excited. We have a game coming up on Wednesday, so definitely looking forward to that.
Perfect. And best of luck for you boys on that matchup though too. I mean it's always a competitive Metropolitan Division every year, and that's come from someone who's been around it a little while, and then also she's got a cat and a big and a dog that could eat me. I could tell you that. He came up over here. But yeah, from someone who's seen this Metropolitan Division take shape and change between certain teams. There's been a lot of movement, and Manhattan surely is not out of the mix of this at all.
Yeah, definitely.
So, I want to ask you a little bit about too, just, I mean, your time with Penn, and then I'll let you talk a little bit about your own experience just growing up in the game. But I mean, you've had 3 seasons done so far. You're coming up on a huge senior season potentially for yourself. I mean, I really don't see a world where you don't end up getting some sort of offer in front of you, whether it's in USL or MLS or MLS Next Pro or one of these leagues. But you know, in however briefly you can make it, I mean, how has the time been so far? Really, in the last 3 years in Philadelphia.
It's been nothing but incredible, honestly. Like when I was choosing what school to go to,
Yeah.
like a lot of different things were like really important for me, but the main two was the soccer and the school, and the coaching as well. For me, I think honestly, everything that I hoped Penn to be, it's like what it's become. Like I have an incredible team, like on and off the field. We've had some very successful last few years. And the school in general, outside like the academic piece has been great. Like it's tough, but just like being able to manage both of those worlds has been a lot of fun and challenging. Um, yeah, I mean, on the field, it's always easy to talk about like the trophies and everything that we've done, which has been super special. Um, yeah, I mean, I could talk all day about Penn, but I mean, I have nothing but positive things to say about my whole experience. Like, it's pretty sad that this will be my last season, with Penn, but I also like appreciate like every single thing that we've done up until then, and I know for the future we have a lot of young guys in our team that will definitely take the team forward once I'm watching from the sidelines.
Oh, and I don't look forward to it any earlier than you do. Well, maybe because I'm over at Cornell, but you've been phenomenal to be able to watch. I mean, you're one of these guys that, I mean, I talked about this a little bit before, but you're a winger that just doesn't seem to have an off switch, that you're always competitive on these aerial duels, which I've seen specifically with Manhattan, but you've also got a lethal shot that when you're able to be out inside that box, when you have those opportunities, that you're able to take them, that you're not a liability on the offensive end. I mean, if if you can put it into words and or however long or short it may be, and even on the Penn thought though too, like I'm gonna give you the time to hold on to everything that you want to talk about Penn. I want to give you the space to talk about it too. But yeah, I mean, how would you say that you've been able to develop those certain skills and those skill sets to become a better wingback, to become somebody who can make that jump into the pro game, but also affecting the now of being an impactful player for the Quakers?
Yeah, I mean, I think when I unfortunately, I dealt with a lot of injuries before I got to college.
Mm,
So when I got to college, I felt like in a sense, I felt like I was a little behind just because I felt like I didn't have the time I wanted to prepare as much for college. But on the other side, like I was a very confident young kid that was always like one of the better players in a team and was always the guy that teams could lean on and count on in big games. Getting to Penn, like I was humbled pretty quickly, and like
mm,
that was honestly like the best thing that ever happened to me. Like looking back, like I came into a team where I didn't think, oh, I should be a starter and I'm the star player, but I did think like I believe in myself and I think I should have a role in a team. But I came into a spot where there was a senior in my position that was a huge part of the team for many years, and he had that role and that was his for the year. And that was a super hard adjustment, dealing with that just like individually, like collectively, our team had an amazing season, but on a personal level, like it was very hard. Like as much as I wanted to celebrate like team wins, and I did, there was a lot of like individual like lonely moments that were tough to deal with because I had never really dealt with something like that before. I would say like for me, the biggest switch and change in like my like mentality was throughout the season. I realized like at the end of the day, not only I realized I was hurting my teammates more than I was hurting myself.
mm,
A lot of that came down to my approach to train, the way I trained, because I was so focused on myself, focused on I'm not going to be playing on the weekend. Like, what's the point of these training sessions? But and at the moment, I thought it was okay for me to do those things because I was like, I deserve to feel this way because I don't play. But I realized that was just hurting the teammates that need more from me to push them when it comes to game time. So like there's a lot of different things like that like over time throughout my freshman year were really important just for my development. But the reason why I brought that up was because In terms of my development overall as a player, the spring is like was huge for me. After my freshman season, I remember when we lost to Syracuse after the NCAA's my freshman year. As sad as I was for the team, I felt like it was a big weight off my shoulders where I could really focus on how I can be a star, like a big player in the team in my sophomore season. Um, so that spring, like I really just like put my head down. I listened to everything anyone had to say that would help me get better. Like I kind of just dropped my ego and put everything to the side and just focused on like the development. And Penn's a very special and unique place because, especially as you know, like the college landscape right now is like a mess. Like there's internationals, there's transfers, and it's super inconsistent all over the place.
Mm.
Penn is like one of the few places still that I really believe that the coaches like they commit to you for 4 years where they truly want you to be the best player you can be over your 4 years. And I think they have that level of patience where they know what you can be at some point, and some guys come into those playing roles earlier than others or not. But yes, I mean, I really had like the opportunity to really grow as a player my freshman spring and just like keeping that like mentality going forward like since then. And yeah, I mean, I believe I've developed a little bit since I got to Penn, but yeah, it's been great.
Absolutely. And there's a few things that you touched on in your answer that I really thought speaks to yourself and also the relationship with the program. But the main thing that I really liked was the fact that you really do feel that the coaching staff, and not that it's just a you feel, but that it's evident that the coaching staff wants you boys to stick around for 4 years. And I mean, you don't see many guys after or between the 4 years transferring out of a program like Penn, and that's outside of the academic aspect that is, and maybe how much parents would kill a player if they were to say, "Oh no, I'm transferring out of Penn to go to a certain school." But
Yeah.
yeah, I think it really does speak to the kind of environment that is fostered there, and that's from someone saying it on the outside, but then hearing it from you, having been around these guys for forever, that it really is something that's valued in developing the player personally and also making sure that you guys stick around and being able to be aimed toward that common goal of winning, but also being better people and humans.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. No, it's something and you don't totally see it exactly like you're saying when, you look at some of these other programs that are across the country where there are the other factors that you've got other players eyeing when they look to leave a certain school to find a better opportunity or this and that. And I mean, I know at least Cornell shares a lot of the similar sentiments. I'm not going to say they're one and the same because you've got two different programs and they compete against each other when the time is there. But yeah, no, I think it's something that's unique to these schools like the Ivy League, like these institutions that are looking, really for these 4 years out of these boys.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And I want to ask though too, I mean, I we've gotten to hear a little bit about just your own development within this program and within this last summer, what Penn has looked like for you. But I mean, I'm gearing up to hear what your youth experiences look like. Where has the soccer journey started for you? However long or short the story is, I'm here for all of it.
Yeah.
So I'll leave the floor to you. I'll stop yapping for a little while, but yeah, I mean, I'm curious to hear what makes up Oliver Pratt, the soccer player.
Yeah, so my family background's a little all over the place. My dad, he's English, grew up in England in the UK. He was more of a rugby cricket player, not so much soccer. My mom didn't really play sports. She grew up in Mexico, but when they moved to Miami and I grew up there, Miami's another Sydney city in Latin America, pretty much, if not another country. But so I mean, pretty much every single kid growing up in Miami wants to play professional soccer. That's just like the bare minimum for the most part. Like every kid loves it. So it was very easy. Like when I was, I think 3 years old was like the first team that I got involved with. Like wasn't anything super serious, but like
Yeah.
first time I started kicking a ball around. I would say honestly since then, what's what, like 18 years since then. That's pretty much been the only sport that I've taken seriously.
Mm.
I messed around with a few other sports like in off seasons, but I just always stuck with soccer since then. Like I was just very consistent, and it wasn't so much about. There were times where I felt like when I got older that I felt like I could do this in college, I can do this hopefully in the pro level, but it was a lot more about I just love to play and I love to compete. And I also loved that just like the relationships that I built through the sport. Um, so yeah, like when I was younger, like it's kind of always what I played, and fortunately for me, like throughout my youth career, like I always felt like I was taking a next big step. It was a very like positive trajectory throughout my career. Before whatever before MLS Next was like the DA. And so when I was in seventh grade, was like when I first entered my first DA team. I had played for clubs up until sixth grade, like local Miami clubs, and then seventh grade was the first year I played academy for what's now called Miami Rush Kendall, which is one of the Miami academies. So played there from seventh to ninth grade. I was there 3 years. Amazing years. I love them. I love the club. I loved a lot of my teammates, and it was a really great experience. I had to played for a lot of very good teams. And then also throughout those years was always the rumor of David Beckham bringing a team to Miami,
Right.
which was like every year there was like a little more information on it, and it was like, okay, like that would be cool. But like I never thought about like the academy part. I kind of just thought like it'd be cool to have a team in Miami because
Mm.
I grew up just a Chelsea fan and didn't really get to go to too many games. That's my dad's club, so I thought it would be super cool to just have a team that I can go watch games. So as I got a little older, once I got like towards the end of my freshman year, it started to become more of a reality that Inter Miami was going to start, and that they were going to have an academy. During my ninth grade season, I had like a really good season. And Inter Miami that whole year was pretty much recruiting like the best kids throughout Miami, South Florida, even kids outside. Basically just finding the best talent there was to represent Inter Miami. Um, and then towards my ninth grade season, I was invited to trial for the team. It was a lot of guys. It was, I think there was like 3 days of training of tryouts over a couple weeks. I think like the first session probably had 100 guys. And like 100, I mean, it sounds like a lot, but yeah, like it was pretty crazy. But honestly, like I felt like I deserved it, and I felt like I was there for a reason. And it was like too good of opportunity to take for granted in any way. So had the ball out real quick. Uh,
Right.
I, I mean, I was pretty happy that I did. I was fortunate enough to get the call up that I had made the team, and what was fun is that a lot of my Kendall teammates also were invited as well. So it was pretty cool, like getting to play pretty much like a Miami dream team of like all the best players that I ever played against and with. Where we were all on one team, which was super
Crazy.
fun. And it was a really good group, and a lot of pros from that one team that are now like doing super well, which is cool to see. Um, but yeah, so I was at Inter Miami my sophomore season. Amazing. Like I've never been treated more like a pro. It was super cool. Like it was my first like real like feeling of like being in a pro environment, like the expectation of like coming in every day and like really putting a shift in. Like
Mm.
there's not really a day off, and the level of competition is insanely high. Like my every team before that throughout my career, like there was no one really like maybe there was someone else under me in my position, but when you go there, there's two, three guys per position, and they're all as good as each other. And
Right.
you have to find a way to be a player on the team, like even getting a few minutes. So that
Mm.
was like a really like tough like environment that like I loved. And it did really well for me. Yeah, I mean that was great. Getting to play against a lot of MLS academies, playing in GA Cup, playing against guys that are now in the MLS in Europe, like all over the place, which is cool to see. And yeah, and then unfortunately, end of my sophomore season with Inter is when COVID hit, and that's when everything went like upside down. So during that time so I was a U17 at the time with Inter Miami. And so I would have been going into the U19 team. But because COVID hit during that time, all the most of the MLS teams decided to get rid of their U19 age group. So I didn't have a team to go to for the following year, to stay at Inter. So I went back to Kendall for my last 2 years. I committed to Penn early my junior year. Um, and yeah, that's kind of like the story.
Huge. And it's it's interesting how a lot of these things end up working out. But I mean, having the well, not quite having the U19 opportunity, what it I mean, not to play the game of what ifs or whatever else, but it still ended up resulting in a great chance for you to be able to continue that professional journey, both on and off the field. I mean, the kind of opportunities that come from both sides. I mean, they're things that you can build on, certainly. Um, so now I'm curious though too. I mean, having grown up in and around Miami for most of your own life, like for how long these rumors of Inter joining the MLS really had been for forever. And I mean, I've seen some of the stories about how David Beckham's contract was worked out to join the MLS to create this expansion fee or with 25 million, when now you've got San Diego FC with 500 million to get into this league. I
Yeah.
mean, even with, and I know that there are other teams popping up in and around Florida. Miami FC, correct me if I'm wrong, I know is at least in that area, but
Yeah.
can you even describe in words how much that Inter Miami really meant for this area, somewhere that's, I mean, really, like you said, an extension of Latin America, somewhere where soccer is so ingrained in every kid growing up in that area?
I mean, it's been unbelievable. Like, I honestly, when I was younger, before Inter Miami, I thought soccer was big in the city. But like since Inter Miami, especially obviously, you have to address Messi being in the city, like, has completely like quadrupled whatever like the growth of the sport in the city. But also, I feel like it's more like the belief of kids wanting to become professionals. Like,
Hmm.
everybody talks about Inter Miami. Every single little kid when I go home has an Inter Miami jersey. Like, it's so amazing to see. And it's great. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely meant a lot to the city. And then also seeing like homegrowns, that I grew up with, seeing them like being in that first team, like wearing that jersey is huge. So yeah, I mean, I think every single kid knows exactly what Inter Miami is now. Like, yeah, I mean, it's done so much for the sport.
Huge.
City.
And now what is the kind of commitment, at least from guys your age, that you've seen from certain other academies, and then maybe even other stories that you've heard of as well? What does the youth soccer commitment look like between you guys and maybe the toll that it takes on certain parents in the area, the kind of drives that you need to get out to practices and really just keeping up with the sports where you're able to get these kinds of opportunities with Inter, with Penn, with these huge areas?
Yeah. I would say like, I mean, my parents sacrificed a lot, like sacrificed many, many weekends, many hours of being in a car, like taking me everywhere. And not only me, but my little brother also plays in college. So like having two boys that played at a high level, like it's a huge commitment, financially, but also just time. I would say like it's obviously it's a huge conversation about the sport like pay to play. And I think it's a really, really complicated situation, but I'll say like I was very fortunate where my parents were able to help me keep like playing the game that I loved. Luckily, I think throughout like the academy, there were certain like financial aid, different things where clubs were very trying to help kids as much as they could, so that money wasn't an issue to play. Obviously, it can always be improved and be better. I was fortunate that playing for an MLS academy, they pay for everything, which was like a huge difference than playing for Kendall Academy in the club team. So
Mhm.
that's something that I wish more kids experience. Like, there's so little MLS academies that it sucks that those are the only teams where you don't have to pay to play. But as of now, that's just like kind of how it is, unfortunately. But yeah, I mean, it's a huge sacrifice, but honestly, like I feel like when you really do love it, like it's not as hard. It's not as hard to feel like you're sacrificing because at the end of the day, yes, it's sacrificing, but you're spending more time doing what you choose to do. I played with so many friends from school, teammates, like over the years, like yes, there's a certain level of like natural selection of just like talent and like how good you are, but I feel like so much of it comes down to like, are you willing to keep doing it? Are you really willing to keep sacrificing? Because like as you get older, there's more career opportunities that have nothing to do with soccer. And for so many kids, like it just doesn't make sense to keep chasing a sport. And I completely get it. Even at Penn, there's just so much out there that is just like in some people's heads, like, why am I going to keep chasing a sport that um it might not work out in the end while I can go get a job, do this, that. So yeah, I mean like that sacrifice when I was younger, it was hard, but it was hard. I say hard, but honestly, it was so easy for me. Because I loved it. Like I knew what I was doing. Like a lot of people always like kind of questioned like why I put the time into what I do. And I never really felt like I needed to explain myself to anyone, because like I believed in what I had to do. Even my parents think I'm a little psycho sometimes with like just like the level of like attention to detail with everything I do, but I really think that's like what brought me to where I am today, and just being comfortable with living a little bit of a different life than a lot of the people around me. But I mean, I've been happy to do it.
And it speaks not only to your character of being able to commit to this kind of thing for the time that you have to where it hasn't worn off. You haven't really and I don't want to suggest things about your own life, but you've been able to work your way through whatever burnout may have come, whatever exhaustion about the sport, whatever obstacle may have come up to still be at this point where you're still playing at a high level to where, you were able to work your way into academy to where now you're playing in college and there's still so much of this granular detail that you still pay attention to. It's the drive to continue to be better. And I mean, we talk about or you talked about it, there not being much of a separation between X player, Y, Z, A, whatever it ends up being. But this is the kind of mindset and the work ethic and the hard work that needs to go in to even be in that kind of conversation, but will continue to separate you in the years that you move forward.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so first, I really appreciate you giving that response though too, just about, what your experience is like in the youth model. But now moving into, a bit of the transition into Penn, shall we say, like the move from Philadelphia to Miami, I'm sure was a shock for you, just not even as a soccer perspective, but it just being culturally. I mean, you're not seeing guys that are able to play in Philadelphia um, you know, 365 days a year is what I mean. It's just with the climate, with certain areas, certain opportunities, you're not having an indoor facility. Like you first heading out to Philadelphia, what did it look like for you? What were some of the things that you noticed that were a little bit different from Miami?
Yeah. So because COVID was during a lot of my recruiting process, I never got to official visit a single school.
Oh,
I
right.
talked to
Right.
many, many schools, but I literally couldn't go to a single campus. So I never really got to experience that. Um, but so when I was going through my process with Penn, like I knew the school was amazing. Like I knew the team would be great, the coaching, everything. But there's a lot of like Penn alumni that are from Miami. Like people talk about Penn all the time. And I honestly just trusted like Philly, Penn, but I honestly didn't know too much about it. So when I got to Penn was like my first, like for preseason, like my freshman year. And so, yeah, I mean, everything was like firsthand experience. I mean, it was definitely different. Like I loved growing up in Miami, like everything about it. So going to Philly was, I felt like I was excited to see something else. I felt Miami is a little bit of a bubble, and it's very different to a lot of cities, and so I felt like I needed it. So yeah, I mean, I think culturally, like the personalities, like where people are from is very different. Penn is a pretty like international school, but also like very American in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Uh, like I could say like I don't feel as American as someone else might. So like being able to meet people from South, like my roommates are from like South Carolina, or having teammates that are from Cali, like other side of the country. Like it's all a very different dynamic. But honestly, like my team is like one massive friend group, and that made it very easy for me to transition, like regardless of where I was. And I would say honestly, Philly's great. Like I really come to really enjoy the city. Like Penn, what's great about Penn is it has a great balance of like a campus and a city. Penn, when you're on campus, like you feel like you're in the campus, like you don't really feel like you're in Philadelphia, except for when it's cold.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, like you're pretty much on a campus, like it's pretty tight knit, like it's a little bit big, but it's like very campus life. And then we pretty much go into the city to eat good food, which there's a lot of, so kind
Nice.
of get to enjoy the city, and it's also a 10-minute drive. So, I mean, it's been great. Like I've loved it. Definitely different. But yeah, it's been good.
It's perfect. So, I mean, and you talk about this team being so cohesive and just you guys it not being a struggle to get you guys to go out and have fun and within reason and within the regulations of a team and just being respectful men representing your university, your team, and everything else. But it's not like pulling teeth to be friends with your boys. Tell me a little bit about that.
It's made coming into the locker room incredibly easy. Like on a day where I might be tired or like don't want to train, like as soon as I see the first guy in the locker room or on the walk over to the locker room, there's like a difference of energy of like, okay, like I'm here to enjoy the day with my boys, get after it, go to work. I feel like we have an amazing balance of like we're all boys, but we're there to compete and like get a job done. So it's not always smiley and friendly, but there's like a time and place for everything. But yeah, like I said, like it's so easy to come in and put the work in because every guy does it, and like you have respect for everyone else that's doing it, which has been amazing. I think it's a huge part of the reason why we've had our successes that like ESPN wouldn't know about. Like
Hmm.
no one knows like unless maybe you play against like a team plays against us and they kind of get a sense of our collectiveness. Like
Sure.
there's so much behind the scenes of like the relationship building, everything that we do, like everything is super intentional within our team because we really believe like we get an edge in like the dynamic between our team and the relationships we have. We talk about a lot in the off seasons, like especially Division 1, like most Division 1 schools train hard, lift hard, like eat well, like do everything that you can list off that a Division 1 soccer player does. But I think the intangibles of like the relationship between guys, like the ability to sacrifice for each other, that's not something that you can't get on a paper that you can't see. And I think that's has been a huge difference maker for us. More than I think we even still realize. But yeah, I mean, I definitely feel it. Like our training environments are amazing, like extremely competitive, but then we're smiling at the end of training. So it's like it's a great like dynamic.
And that's something that's just powerful, man. I mean, the fact that you guys don't even fully realize what this kind of cohesive fight, everyone fights for the guy next to each other kind of environment that this really is.
Yeah.
It's something that I mean, I've been removed from for a little while and I don't fully understand. But, unless you are in that locker room and you're having these conversations and you're in there with these practices and these trainings, that again, like you're saying, it's not something that you ever really fully realize.
Yeah, definitely.
Huge. And I mean, I think it also shows a little bit in your play style too, as well, that you've been able to take to, between Manhattan and Penn over the last few seasons and even Miami Athletic Club, where you've just been a dude that will go for the aerial duel, even if there's a bit of a height advantage, and not for nothing, you're winning most of them anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't say that like it's. I mean, you're 6 feet tall. There aren't, you're not going to have many guys that, that are taller than you, so that you're still able to be competitive regardless and those kinds of things. But I mean, just a huge chance that I feel like really exhibits in your own play style where it seems like you always know exactly how to adjust your own pace to whether you've got to take a step back to let your midfield get a little bit further up to where you have more options for a pass or really being able to flip the field in the right way or advancing into an open space where you're able to use your on-ball dribble ability. Yeah, I mean it shows the versatility, but also how willing that you are to be able to play these different roles too. Like, was that something that you grew up with, that you were told and taught, or how much of that really fell into falling into a system?
Yeah. I would say like throughout like my career, I would say the thing that's always been the most consistent for me, regardless of what team, how well I'm playing my form, like I've always been able to go back to especially my consistency defensively. Like that's like where like I feel most comfortable. It's where like I feel like I've seen it all. Like guys I've gone up against everything. Like I feel like there's not too many times where I feel lost in a game, just like positionally, tactically, because I feel like I've seen a lot. And I'm always very intentional, like everything I do. So yeah, I mean, I think like I've always been someone that has always appreciated a system. Like I feel like I've always been very coachable where if a coach needs me to do a certain thing, I'm always willing to do it. But then and also at the same time, like understanding what I do well and what I don't do as well and not trying to play like someone else, but like really just try to be like myself and like on the field. I think as soon as like guys start trying to be something they're not, that's when a lot of it shows. So I think like being coachable has like been a huge like asset for me that I feel like guys don't realize enough because it can really put you ahead because you don't know everything when you're a player. Like you think you know, but usually you don't. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think that's a big part of it. And especially like Penn, we have like a very, very concrete system in place. And I think it's really shown like every team we play against, like we always get compliments that we're a really hard team to play against because we're so organized defensively. Like we're an extremely disciplined team. Like a lot of the USL teams I played with over the summer, like there's certain details that I don't realize so much when I'm at Penn that we get so right that like when you're in these USL environments, it's just different. Like that level of standard and like expectation in a system. It's also much harder in a summer team because everyone has a different play style. Like it's all over the place, but yeah, and also just like really buying into that system, but then also like having um, the confidence for me to when I want to do something a little different because I trust myself and I've proved it again and again. Like I can do certain things a certain way, and it's worked for me. So that's kind of just been like really helpful for me.
Fantastic. And I mean, yeah, I mean, I'm curious now. I guess the natural question that I'm not going to ask, but just even the thing that comes up to my mind on the outside is like, what really are these granular details that go into Penn? But I'll leave that to the veil of what you guys got going on behind the scenes and let the teams find out ultimately.
They already know. They know what
All
we do.
right.
There's the phone.
Ah, interesting. So, I mean, I got to talk about though too some of the memorable moments. I mean, I'll let you bring up a lot of the memorable moments that you've had over the last few seasons, but I think there's no way that we can go through this interview without talking about your overtime goal against Brown in the Ivy semis. I mean, top of the box, left foot, and just buries that ball, tied 1-1 between Brown. Like, tell me about that match going in, it being home field advantage for you guys, that being the home site really for the entire tournament, and being able to come away with that win, not only with the win, but also the game-winning goal.
I mean, it was pretty surreal. Like it was. So we had been the year before we were in the Ivy League semifinal against Brown again on our field the year before. And that was like one of my hardest days in my college career because my sophomore season, like I couldn't believe that my season was over that early. Like we really, and not in like an arrogant way, but like we really believed that we could win the Ivy League. Not only we did win the regular season, but that we were going to win the tournament and we were going to go far in the NCAA's. And so for our season to be over that quickly, my sophomore year was really hard. And it was super easy for me to circle Brown on my schedule for the following year, as a team that I really wanted to make a point and prove a point, not just for myself, but like just for our team in general. And I think we all really felt that. Um, so yeah, I mean, I think it kind of worked out really well, like being able to play at home against Brown, I believe semifinal a year later. I think it was like kind of just perfect. And yeah, like being back on roads, like our main grass field, and we have an incredible public environment of like people that come to our games. Like we have a lot of support from like the Penn community, a ton of athletes, but also non-athletes that everyone makes it a point to come out to our games. And I mean, it makes it so much easier to have energy and really try to play well for them and for our group. So yeah, I mean, the day was. I was really excited. Like it was another big game. Like I love the big games where the cameras are on you, like everybody's watching, and I was super excited. From what I remember, I don't think we started great. Well, actually, no, we did start well. We scored early, and then we kind of let them get back into the game. It was very back and forth. Like Brown is a good team. Like there's no team in the Ivy League that you can kind of just breeze through at all. So I mean, it was definitely super competitive. Once we got to overtime, um, there was actually like when we were in like the huddle, like when we were talking with the coaches and stuff, like one of the things that I'd said was like we never like we didn't want it to be easy. Like this is like we wanted like these are the type of environments that we train for and we work for. And so like that was just like it was just like perfect to go into that overtime. Yeah, I mean, I don't score. I haven't scored too many goals in my career, but when I've scored, they've mattered.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, throughout that play, like, I mean, I'm never really thinking about my celebration or anything like that because like they don't come that often, and I'm so focused on like getting a job done that I don't really think about that other stuff. But yeah, I mean, I think as like a fullback, like you kind of have that instinct of like floating in the inside, like top of the box when the left side's kind of attacking, because you just hope that one ball is gonna pop out and you're gonna hit it. And I kind of just like anticipated that something was gonna happen. And then yeah, I mean, once it popped up to me on my right foot first, I tried to hit it. I thought I hit it pretty well. Like that was probably gonna go in if not, if the second one didn't, but gets blocked and then it just pops up to my left foot and I just there was no thought. It was just I'm gonna hit it.
Right.
And as soon as I mean I had the perfect straight angle of it going in and that was amazing. Like for a second I was like, holy shit. Like I was like, oh my God. Like this is surreal. Yeah, I mean, seeing my team run on the field and that feeling was unbelievable. And I guess I'll share it on this. It was a very hard week. That week leading up to the game, for two reasons mainly. Firstly, the Ivy League honors had came out and I didn't get named for anything, which the reaction I had for it was not that I doubted myself at all. Like I know what I bring to my team. Like I know I've been a very important part of the team, so I'll never doubt like my significance individually, but also for my team. So that was never a doubt. But as like someone that believes in myself, like I want to be in those conversations. Like I want to be part of that, and I think I've put like some really good seasons, collective seasons together that I don't honestly don't think get recognized enough. Um, but so yeah, I mean um that was really hard. Because and honestly I was happy. Like I was excited for it because I knew I would have the weekend to prove why I should have been in those conversations. And I actually had to talk with my coach like that I want to be in those. And then the other thing was like a family member away had, a family member had passed away that week, my grandfather. That was a big part of my life. And the funny thing is that he didn't really never really understood soccer too well, where as a defender, like I don't score many goals. But he would always ask me after every game, like, did I score today? And I would sometimes lie to him and tell him I did because it made him.
Right. Yeah.
But so he passed away that week, so that was a mental like very tough thing to deal with, obviously. But I think it only like pushed me forward, and having my family in the stands was amazing. Getting to hug my mom after the goal was cool. But yeah, like having that moment was unbelievable. And for I wish that it led to a Sunday that was successful. But yeah, I mean that was a cool moment for sure.
That game will never take away the dog that is still just running in you. That whether it's okay, fine. Maybe I'm not in the all elite conversation yet, but that's something that will end up getting that will end up getting coming way, but then also a huge just personal moment for yourself and your family to be able to enjoy. I mean, it's just a fantastic. I'm glad that it was you to be able to push you guys forward and to have that moment and congratulations on that. If it's not too late. So, I mean, another point that you talked about though too is not letting these certain things get you down. Whether it's not, I mean, whether it's the all Ivy League recognition that frankly I would agree with you that you were snubbed on that, and I'll go on record saying that. It would be maybe it's not quite getting a look from a pro team just yet, or coming back even from an injury when you were younger though too, having those things to deal with. Like you've got to adjust your mindset to be able to be comfortable in these big moments, to be able to trust yourself again, to be able to go 100%, no problem. And you've been able to do that. How much work goes into getting into that 100% mindset for you?
I think it takes I think that like true like belief and confidence like really comes from like the work that you put in. I think any teammate that I've had the last few years like would probably attest to like the level of like detail of like professionalism that usually I definitely put on. Like it's a lot of stuff that no one even sees alone. Maybe my roommates see it the most probably. But yeah, like I think there's so much level of confidence that comes not just from playing the sport, but it's like how you carry yourself and like and how intentional you are with like everything you do from like the weight room, like the mental work outside the field, being on the field, like that like every day of like how could I do a little more today? Like that over time that just builds up and just like gives you that delusion and like not delusion, but like that level of confidence that like no one else needs to like truly understand. And I think I've really like made it a point, like especially in the bigger games, like knowing that like I belong there and that I deserve to be there. Like I didn't just show up one day and was in a big game. Like there
Yeah.
was so many little things every day. A lot of days that we are not in season. Like I'm right now we're far from a season, but like I'm still doing things right now every day that will give me confidence in November for sure. Because like I know that I didn't just put the work in November, but I've been doing it since now. And so like that belief and confidence has like always really helped me. And then the other thing is like I never like I always it's always nice to be appreciated by like media, by like different things like that. And not that there's an element of like proudness that comes from that, of course, but like I think if that's something that you're always chasing, like you never really are happy with you as a player. Um, because at the end of the day, like when you go home, like you're alone. So like how do you view yourself as a player? Like what do you actually like? How do you actually think about yourself? And so like I tend to be pretty like happy with how I'm doing and everything that I do. So that kind of just builds off. And I just feel like it's like helps me be have like confidence that is hard to break.
Yeah, it's huge. It's something that, you know, it has to be hard to break for you to be able to continue to push forward, to keep looking at what the next step is, to be content with the kind of player that you are, but to continue to have that hunger. And I think that's always something that just as players, as coaches, as people in the soccer universe, they're always looking to try to find that at some point and to never let that go. And it's encouraging to hear that I mean, that you've really caught that bug now.
Yeah, definitely.
And I mean, I guess my last, thought before I just get into a couple little just silly questions about Miami and Philly, and if you want to compare the cities, we'll go off and we'll do a little thing about that. But I've got to ask, like, between the relations that you've got between all the rest of these boys, you going into your senior season again, the Ivy League, banner is still something that you boys are chasing within this club, and I mean whatever's to come with the national tournament too. I mean it's something that it feels like a coin flip anytime, and I mean I think as long as you're in that conversation, as long as you're in that group, you any given team can make that run, and Penn is no exception to that. With you specifically, within going back into this environment, how has your leadership role changed? I got a hard time believing that you're not one of those leaders that people are waiting on every word to talk about a little bit in terms of halftime conversations that you've had with coaches and the rest of your team. What does your leadership role look like now, and how has it grown over the last 4 years?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely grown a lot. Like it's all been in different ways, because you can't just like one leadership dynamic, like it doesn't fit in every environment. Like when I was a freshman, like you have to earn your voice in the room. Like, and not that I was honestly a little bit of a like I was a vocal freshman in the sense of, um, I mean, you're intimidated. You're in an environment where you're in a team meeting with guys that are 4 years older. We had fifth years, like 4 years older than you. So like it's a sense of like kind of waiting your turn of like you listen more than you talk. And I think that I definitely like used that as much as I could when I was younger. I think over the years though, like I feel like I've built up so much experience as a player, as someone that didn't have a playing role earlier, and then now being in the role I'm in now. Like I feel like I've seen many different sides of being a college soccer player. Yeah, and like my leadership role, I think it's definitely developed over the years. When I was younger, like I had a certain like view of what a captain or a leader would be, and it was this like perfect guy that did every that the one guy that was the loudest guy did everything like perfect. Like there was just like a perfect idea of what I thought a captain was or like a leader was. That certain ways maybe I felt like maybe I wasn't that role. And then as I've gotten older and now going to be a senior in the team, like I've felt like I've found my leadership like in my own way. I think our senior class has like a great like leadership dynamic. Like every guy brings something different. Some guys are better. being vocal in big rooms. I would say that's something that I think I bring a lot of, and also being able to like communicate and kind of share my experience, but not for me to just share it, but for hopefully that guys can like relate to it. Because guys have seen me work day to day, like the things that I do, and so like they believe the things I say.
Mhm.
Because I've lived it and they've seen it. And then you have guys that are really good at player management, one-on-one, like always checking in on the next guy. And like obviously there's always things that I can improve, but I think that's what's really helped me. So I would say our leadership dynamic, like being a captain in the fall is something I'm super excited about. It's something that I'm really proud of. I think it's one of if not like the biggest achievements in my career because it means so much more than just like a name. It's just like it's helped in a sense validate like the work that I've done, not just for like an outcome, but like the genuine, like I want to get the guys next to me better. Especially now being older in the team, like how I can help the freshmen get better. Even they're gonna be playing more years without me than with me. And like still being able to like be intentional and try to help them the most I can with like the the experience I've had. So I mean that's been like really special. And I think that I want to be someone in the fall that guys can count on. I think when I was younger, like yes, I had a playing role, but there was a little bit of a sense of I hope the senior clutches up in the end. Like
Mhm.
because like and when you're in that moment, like especially like the nature of my position, like you hope that the senior striker is gonna put it away and we win, you know?
Sure. Yeah.
So I get what it's like being a younger guy, like being an underclassman that was playing in a team like that. So now being an older guy, being someone that guys can count on in big games is going to be really important. But like I'm excited for it for sure.
Absolutely. And it's something that you should be. I mean, that's the even going back to just the you earning the captainship this upcoming season. I mean, it's a display of the trust that you've gained between your teammates, your coaches, and this organization to trust you to be one of those guys that's there, that's leading, that is a representation of the program, but also realizing that there's the lot of there's the responsibility that comes with that, and you can't shy away from that. That's not something that you're able to do, and it sounds like you're certainly ready to be able to take on that.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so last couple little things I want to run by you though too. I mean, it's been a pleasure talking with you just about your own journey and what the soccer experience really looks like for you. But I mean, as someone who's got English blood, Mexican blood, grew up in Miami, spent time in Philadelphia, I mean, you've been around a lot just culturally. Like, if you were to just rapid fire some of these things, some of the, just the food, just food, the transit, just comparing the certain cities that you've been around. Even Manhattan too, I know is a certain other sport.
Yeah.
I mean, tell me about some of the food that you're going to get between certain cities. What are you getting in each of these areas that you've been?
Definitely changes up a lot. Like, I
Yep.
mean, we don't have to get into the boring part of like nutrition and stuff, but yeah, I mean, obviously that plays a factor. Like, always trying to be careful with what I'm eating and stuff. But yeah, I mean, I love food. I enjoy food. Like my family's always been like big cooks, so I would say it changes a lot. Like I would probably say my favorite foods are um like Mexican food, like tacos, like everything that comes with that. But then also like I love Asian food, like Thai food, Chinese, Japanese. I love it all. So especially in New York where you can get literally every single thing possible. I'll be excited to keep exploring that. But yeah, I think it's one of the fun things that like we try to do with our teammates in Philly is like being able to like try a new restaurant in like a new part of Philly or things like that. Like fun way to do something different. Enjoy some different types of foods, but uh, yeah, I would say.
Nice. Like, how do you think have even just your short time in New York, I mean, I'm sure you've seen certain new things, wherever else, just certain, I mean, being able to get food wherever, any kind of food that you could imagine. But I mean, how do you think you, having grown up around so many different cities, different compositions of cities, has, maybe you open your mind up to different cultures, how different people view soccer or things that are outside of soccer in a sense?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Oh yeah, sorry, I gotta jump it up, but
Mhm.
yeah, between Miami and Philly and Manhattan, I mean, how do you think that you having lived around certain cities has helped open your mind up to certain perspectives, whether soccer or not soccer?
Yeah, I mean, I think it just like opens your eyes to like, especially like different types of people. Like, I feel like when you talk to someone that could be from somewhere different, like being able to connect with them because you've eaten their food, like
Right.
whatever it is, like I feel like you kind of just you appreciate so many different cultures. Like I feel like I've been really fortunate to make have a lot of relationships with people all over the world, which is amazing. And like I said, like being in a little bit of a bubble growing up, that's something that like I've definitely appreciated. I think Penn like great gave that to me because there's especially within the athletes, there's a lot of internationals, but like also within the just like that the students. So yeah, I mean, I think it's I appreciate it. Like I feel, especially like after soccer, like I really want to travel and just like experience more than maybe what I'm limited to right now. But yeah, I mean, I think I kind of just like have an appreciation for it.
Yeah, you've got to get your grind going, whether it's on just work or soccer, everything else. Like, but it's a nice thing to be able to look forward to for sure.
Yeah.
And I mean, when you talk about having grown up and watched Chelsea a little bit just from the outside, I know this is a story that we mentioned way, or that you brought up way further back of being able to root on, it seemed like Chelsea between, your dad having been, or well, at least having English ties, like having grown up and watching international soccer, waking up early to watch some of those games, like, you know, it, what would you tell like your 6, 7 year old self? 15 years older and knowing that that kid is still watching the pro game and still getting used to learning certain soccer terminology and being around the sport like what's the message that you would give to your younger self?
I'm gonna have to think about this.
No, no problem. Yeah.
Um, I mean, I would say like it's. I think people say this a lot when they try to say this to the younger self, but I think like especially as you get older, there's a lot of other things that you have to think about apart from just soccer. So I think like it's there's so many different aspects of like being a college player, being a professional player, like that are off the field, like your habits, like everything you do. But I think like the main thing throughout my career that's been consistent is the soccer. So I mean, if I were to say something to my younger self, it's just like really enjoy and like appreciate the sport. Like I think as much as I played, I feel like I could have even played a little more or like really like been out in the field longer, like just like really like loving the soccer. Like I feel like I have teammates. I think because I think that there's a lot of aspects outside of soccer that have helped me to where I am, not just like how good I can kick a ball, but like I think like I've had a lot of teammates that like love the sport, like obsessed with it. And like I would say I have that, but like in some aspects, I feel like I don't have that necessary passion for it in a sense. So I think like enjoying the sport since I'm younger, like appreciating it more. But I mean, obviously, I loved it enough that I'm here now. But and I still love it. But yeah, I mean, I guess I would say that.
So Oliver, bro, I mean, I didn't have much written down because I knew you had stories on story. I'll be honest with you. I've talked with a few of your teammates, and they've told me a little bit, before we talk about this, and they say, "Yo, this dude knows how to interview, and he's a dude that you're gonna love to have a conversation with." So I didn't prepare as much. But that being said, I mean, I've asked you everything that I had written down, everything that I had planned, and I'm all exhausted. Exhausted from my questions, not exhausted personally or nothing else, like nothing silly like that. But that being said, I want to leave it to you in case there's anything that we didn't touch on that I haven't brought up, anything that you want to continue to talk about during this interview. I want to leave it to you. But it's been a pleasure so far again.
No, I really appreciate. Thank you for having me. I mean, I think the only thing I would say is like
Mm.
I appreciate having conversations like this because as much as I might have daily conversations like teammates and those day-to-day like conversations, I think a player like myself that's had a lot of experiences, I think younger kids or kids that want to play and stuff like I don't think ask enough questions and what I mean by that is like a lot of the things that I told you, like I wish more people asked me that, and not for myself, but because I feel like I have so much to give and like so much experience that I can just like talk about. So I think that's something that last summer, like I did a lot of like I hosted like camps like throughout Miami, and like had a lot of like younger kids training with like I trained and like I wish like they asked me more, like ask more questions. Like I think but and I think there's a sense of like maybe they just don't feel comfortable asking, but I think a huge value that I feel like I've taken is just like the ability to ask questions and like that knowing that I don't know everything. And I think that's something that I wish more kids just kind of like took advantage of because like most people are willing to help in any way they can. So I think just the ability to like ask questions is something that um I think more people like should like take that skill with anything, not just soccer, but yeah.
And so, if you don't mind, I mean, this is something that I picked up though too. Why is it important for you to give back to these younger kids, whether it's through coaching or just being around these younger guys who are working their way up? Why, why do you wish that you were asked more of these kinds of questions? Like, what is it about you that wants to help these younger guys? And it sounds like an obvious question, but give me your reason why.
I think like when I was younger, like throughout my career, like there's been a few, I'd say older kids that maybe like have had some impact on me, but I feel like a lot of it like I kind of drove myself
Mhm.
um in a lot of ways. I mean, I'm like the oldest sibling, and so like I never really had like proper guidance in that way. Like I feel like my parents like since they're not from the US and never really played the sport, like there was not much like I was kind of learning as I went. Like um, even being in an academy environment, I was fortunate to go to amazing like schools like throughout middle and high school. So I was kind of exposed to like the academic side, but I think a lot of these like soccer systems, like they're kind of built for you to force yourself to try to be a pro and that's it. Um, and like I had a lot of teammates that we're obsessed with this idea of what a pro is and like trying to be a pro, but didn't really think about like the logical side of like, does it make sense to try to be a pro right now? Like, what about like trying to go to school and like doing all this and that? And like, I think I was fortunate with my family, like just like instilled the academic side. So I had a little bit more of like both kind of seeing that. Um, but like I said, like I feel like I would have only have benefited from having someone else I could have reached out to ask these questions. And I've had people like that in my life. I'm not saying I haven't, but yeah, I mean like being a voice that someone can ask me a question to, like I love answering any questions about my soccer or whatever it is, just because like I'm proud of everything I've done and like I would love to just share it. And if it's gonna help a person, that'd be great. But yeah, I mean like I was literally training this morning at a park here in New York and like there was a little kid. He was like 10 years old. He was like watching the training and thought it was like the coolest thing because I was just we were just doing some finishing and I talked to him for a while after about like why he liked soccer and he said he was like he's super young but he was saying I asked him like oh like do you love soccer and he was like yeah and then I asked him I was like do you want to be a pro one day and he said he's like he didn't he's like I'm not really sure I could make it to the pro level and I was like why like why not like
Right.
what's stopping you like why not and I told him like just keep enjoying it like that's all you can really do um and yeah and that's so yeah I mean like little things like that like I love like I think I that gives me another level of just like happiness of like everything that I've done is being able to like share what I've been through and kind of just like help the next kid and hopefully they can look back on that as something that's kind of helped them.
And it's such a valuable perspective that you've taken on. Really, I mean, I felt a lot of that way just by talking about you, whether it's your play style or the way that you've grown up and the way that you want to continue to give back to these younger guys. I mean, you're a gem of a dude, bro. This is, the world would be a better place if we had more soccer players like you, if we had more people like you, and it's been a pleasure talking with you, Oliver. Of
No, thank you so much.
course. All the best to you, Al. And we'll talk soon. You've got a supporter in me and kick a ball the rest of the way. And I mean that, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, we'll talk.